All right, so the moment we've all been waiting for, backwards roller skating, how to skate backwards. All right, we'll go ahead and demonstrate, and then I'm gonna break it down, okay? All right, so how do you skate backwards? Well, it's the opposite of how you skate forward. As you can see, I did the backwards bubbles and the backwards marching. So let's start off with marching, we'll go to bubbles, and then we'll go from there. All right, so for the backwards skating, let's go ahead and hop on whatever surface you're comfortable standing on in your skates without rolling away. We're gonna be in our ready position. Then we're gonna point our toes in. All right, we call this our turn in position. All right, and I'm pretty pigeon-toed right now with the way that I'm standing. My knees are bent and the rest of my posture is what we've been talking about all this time. And I'm just gonna pick my feet up, rocking side to side. Now, the number one thing I want you to pay attention to is how I'm holding my feet. I want you to notice that I'm maintaining this angle as I take my steps. All right, a lot of people are gonna go into this and they're gonna be picking up their feet and they're gonna do this. And they're gonna be like, KJ, why am I not moving? And I'm gonna look at you and I'll be like, skater, because you're not angling your feet. Because if they're straight like this, you go nowhere. But as soon as I angle them, it's like magic. All over again, just same thing as going forward, right? So here it is again. If my feet are straight, I go nowhere. If I angle my feet, I move. Another point where people get confused about the angle in your feet is the important part is that you are releasing and landing with your feet at an angle. So if you're here with your feet in a straight line and then you turn when you go up, but then you go right back down straight, you didn't angle your feet. So we're turned in and then you're gonna start taking small, short, choppy steps like that, right? And then you're gonna skate backwards, all right? So all of our posture remains the same, knees bent, postured upright, but slightly forward, head up, hands at the ready. But number one thing, you always want to look where you're going. So that means head over your shoulder, all right? Whether that's head over your left, head over your right, practice both. Start to do some neck rolls, whatever you gotta do to get that mobility going. And while you're postured forward, most of your weight is gonna be in your toes. You're gonna angle and do all the other things, and you're just gonna start to step. This is a little side note, but whenever you want to go forward, your weight is in your heels. And when you wanna go backwards, your weight is in your toes, okay? So a lot of people, when they first start skating, they're always like in this weird in-between, like I can't sit still, I keep rolling away. It's all about where you place your weight. The first thing to notice is definitely gonna be, there's always gonna be these little micro adjustments. You're always gonna be kind of doing this, but just on a much smaller, less noticeable scale in order to maintain your balance, right? But the next big component to these things is just simply where you're putting your weight in your boot, putting your weight in your toes or your heels or your outer edge or your inner edge, right? If I'm pressing my weight to my outer edges like this and I put my weight in my heels, I roll forward. And if I do it in my toes, I roll backwards. But if I'm center and I just press my weight out, now I'm just standing, right? Or I can do it on the inner, whatever works for you, but keeping some sort of tension in the way that you stand is how you stand still on roller skates. So let's dive in on backwards bubbles. I've got my toes pointed in like this, and then I'm just gonna roll out and back in. Now, this is still using that same windshield wiper technique that we were talking about before, right? Where you're doing this, think about a windshield wiper arm, but we're doing it backwards. So instead of your heel staying in place and the windshield wiper going, your toe is gonna stay in place and you're gonna drag your toe side to side like this. I'm gonna do it facing you, drag your toe side to side like this. I want you to think about, if this isn't making sense, I want you to think about like there's a bug on the ground or you're trying to put out a cigarette butt and you boom, and you stomp it out, right? It's the same thing. Put a little bit more weight on it, try it with both feet, all those different things. But that is the way that I go about my backwards bubbles. So I go out and then I pull up. I push down, I pull up. I push down and I pull my legs as I roll up. And I'm also using the windshield wiper in order to change directions at the apex of those curves, right? So that's how you perform the backwards bubbles. Hopefully this helps you backwards skate.